Put the fader up first.
Well, let's get back to it.
Yeah, there you go. So, Michael Caine is, 185 years old, something like that. He's blowing his candles out in the cake, and I'm thinking, is he the most overrated actor in British history? Because he seems to be one of those people that you can't criticise. You're not allowed to criticise Michael Caine. Wait, first of all, you're not allowed to say Michael Caine. You're supposed to say Sir Michael Caine. But it seems that I'm finding it hard to think of a film that was actually good that he was in, apart from Sleuth, which was just the film of a play, in which he was acted off the screen, as though his co-star had blown him off with a cannon by Larry. Larry Olivier was the other part of the duo that was in the Sleuth. And it's as though you couldn't take your eyes off him. You barely saw Michael Caine at all. People will say The Italian Job, and that's just not right. They throw it up as one of the great British films of all time, and I suspect that people do that because they haven't seen it in a good long while, or they just are speaking from received wisdom, that it is a great film. It isn't. It's rubbish. The Italian Job. Have you seen The Italian Job lately? He's shaking his head on the radio. Can you believe it? No.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. It's pants. It really is. There's nothing, there's precious little good in it. In fact, apart from that line that they just played in the news, he's only supposed to blow the bloody doors off, there's nothing good in it.
It's like when you go to the cinema and they show a trailer and all they show you are the best bits of the film.
Yeah.
And that's all you look out for.
Well, I don't watch trailers in films. I normally, if I ever go to the cinema, which gets less and less these days as the price is going up and up, I try and arrive at the very second that the main feature starts. Or I find myself staring at the floor with my fingers in my ears, humming loudly to myself, trying not to take in any of the forthcoming feature information. Why they do that, I do not know, because you know that they will tell you every part of the story, every twist in the tale will be shown to you before you've seen the film, including, often, the very last scene in the movie, where the bad guy gets shot, or not, making it completely redundant to go out and see the thing that they're advertising. And they do it because they want to show you all of the most exciting parts of the film. But the most exciting parts of the film are the things that are supposed to be a surprise. The director of the film has no input when the advert for the film is made. And he spent £100 million and 6 months of his life trying to create surprises and excitement for us, which is totally blown out of the water by the bloke who makes the advert and the dopes who release it, because all of the surprises are gone. And the perfect example of that was Terminator 2. I know I always come back to Arnie.
Yes.
We didn't know until, we weren't supposed to know that Arnie, this time around, was the good guy. But of course the publicity machine that came with the film, one of the most expensive and I would say exciting films ever made, told us this great plot twist before we actually sat down and saw it. So the first 20 minutes of the movie, well, you didn't need to show up. Here is an undoubtedly irritated call in Hampton. Oh, Jan?
Hi, good evening.
Hey, Jan.
Hi. Could I mention two films that I think Michael Caine was reasonably good, I think.
Okay, well, see, now, already you're springing to his defence, but not that vociferously. Quite good.
No, not really. I just don't want to be seen to be too enthusiastic about any actor, really.
Okay, because you're British. That would be unbecoming.
No, it's just that I think that people get the actor's contribution out of proportion on quite a lot of occasions. But nevertheless, Cider House Rules I thought was a pretty good film. I thought he acquitted himself quite well in that. And Get Carter I thought was fairly good too.
Get Carter, yeah. Now there's one that I haven't seen in a very long time. But does it actually stand up to... does it stand the test of time?
Well, it's better than the remake, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, almost everything is.
Yes, that's right.
I can't think of anything that has been remade that actually tops the original, be it remade from a foreign language or remade from black and white into new.
That's right. We're getting a bit diverted now, but I think the Lady Killers is perhaps the best example, or the worst example of something that should have been well left alone.
Yeah, well, or the Italian Job, indeed. I mean, the original Italian Job wasn't very good, but the remake...
Diabolical.
Exactly, yes.
All
right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jan. And Sleuth, there's another example. Sleuth was one of the great filmed stage productions of all time, I would suggest. I mean, there's a spoiler coming here, so put your fingers in your ears if you haven't seen it and hum loudly to yourself. But when Michael Caine comes back dressed up in disguise, well, I mean, you'd have to be blind not to notice that it's Michael Caine. It's so obvious. I mean, they did their best at the time with the makeup technology that was at their disposal, but I mean, really, who could not notice that? But then to remake it as a film that has garnered some of the worst reviews in living memory, with Jude Law and Michael Caine, by the way, well, what's the point? Just direct people's attention to the original, which I'm doing right now. Sleuth, the original. Very, very good indeed. If just to see Laurence Olivier do one of the great turns in cinema history, I think. It's just great. Roger's looking at me like I've lost my mind. It's an old film, Raj. It was made before 1990. You wouldn't be interested.
I probably wouldn't even be alive.
Hampstead. George.
Hello.
Hey, George.
What is your view of the airport and what's going on there with the new runway?
It looks nice. The new terminal looks nicer than the one that I walked through last Sunday, which was a disgrace. It was awful. Welcome to London. You wanted to get on the next plane out.
But what sort of message about the environment?
Oh, God. It doesn't matter what message they give on any given subject. No one's listening. They aren't.
I don't think we should have an airport in London at all. I don't think any...
Don't half come out with some rubbish, George.
Sorry? No, why?
Why?
Why should...
A plane lands about every 90 seconds, something like that, and takes off during a similar amount. The amount of people who are coming and going, who are either doing it for business or leisure or otherwise, but creating wealth while they're doing it, is absolutely staggering. Why people aren't happy where they are is beyond me.
Yes, but why can't we move the runways to the seaside somewhere?
Well, I've said this before on this show, and they made a big mistake. I suppose it wasn't planned. It really just grew organically. That the London's airport should not be to the west of the town, because with the prevailing winds, they have to fly over the town to get to it. It should actually be on the east of the town, so that they only have to fly over Essex, and who cares about them?
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm looking at a future when there are no planes flying over London.
Right, well, that won't happen, George.
Why not?
Well, why would it?
Because it seems a sensible thing to do.
Well, how are people going to get... I don't even know if I can be bothered to enter into this conversation, but just to take us up to travel, I'll do it anyway.
Well, there'd be high-speed links to all the major cities.
By train?
And you could regenerate...
By train, you mean?
Trains and roads that would go from the airport to all the major cities.
Right, well, that would be great, but we can't wait till then. We want to leave now. Yeah, we do. You want to go to America, George. How are you going to get there?
They wouldn't let me into America.
All right. Well, pick somewhere else that you could go. Why won't they let you into America?
Because I've got a conviction for having dealt in Class A drugs 20 years ago or something. So, and I ended up in prison for 9 months.
Well, quite right too.
And just because I sold a bit of LSD to a couple of News of the World reporters, and it was...
on a break, were they?
It was a story at the time.
Having lunch at the time, were they? Just a little trip before we go back to work, yes.
But things are in motion. The revolution...
Okay, and at that point we must leave. But thanks a lot, George. I can't stand it. Things are not in motion, George. It will never happen. Give up on the dream. Which is much the same that all of those dopes who show up on those talent shows should be told. Which is why Simon Cowell is both loved and loathed in equal measure, because he actually tells it like it is. These desperate lunatics who show up thinking that they can sing or whatever the ability on show is, are being told, probably for the first time in their life, the truth. You can't sing. So go home. Give up on the dream. And when people say, just, you can work and work and work and eventually you'll make it. Just look at whoever, insert name of famous person here. Well, yeah, but we only hear about the people who've made it by continuing to work on their dream. We don't hear about the 99% of the other people who've fallen by the wayside and cried for the rest of their life, their dreams spilling down the grates in the gutter, on a wave of their own tears. So just take a good look at yourself. George. 7:45. Travel news now with Will Gowing.
Thanks very much, Nick. Still seeing problem
indicator.
On the number 0845 6060 973. Camden. Hello, Brian.
Hello there, Nick.
Brian.
Well, thank goodness for you. You're the first person I've heard for a long, long time who's had the nerve or the bravery to criticise Michael Caine, one of our worst actors, I would say.
It's as though you're saying bad things about the Queen Mother.
Well, I couldn't care less. He's got away with it for a long, long time, and I do like movies, and I do like theatre, and I do like acting, but I can't understand why anyone thinks he's such a good actor, because he honestly, it just amazes me, because do you remember when he got that award, when he got up and said that how he was not respected or didn't get any accolades in Britain? And
are you joking? Not respected? He's a sir for a start.
That's what he said. He said he didn't seem to get the respect that he deserved, and that's why he had to go to America to find all this sort of. I mean, it was absolute crap, because he's such a...
Don't sit on the fence, Brian. Tell us what you think.
Well, I'm sorry, but it just makes me angry.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's been going on for such a long time, and, I mean, I hate to be unkind, but any time...
Oh, go on, force yourself.
Well, any time he's in... Have you ever seen him being interviewed?
No.
Over the years,
well,
Michael
probably.
Parkinson and people like that on television.
Yeah.
And I mean, he always trots out the same story, or he always seems to try out the same story. Whereas, he comes from a market trading background. His parents always.
I was a poor black child. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And he said that when he went into the acting business, that his father or his people that who was around him at the time all thought he was a wrong-un, as he put it.
Right.
Well, I would say the jury's out on that one anyway. But
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well,
but let's pass over it and forget you said it, eh?
Well, anyway, that's what I think. Right. And I just think the whole guy is a fraud.
Well, I think fraud is stretching it. I think that the problem is not with him, it's our perception of his abilities, which I think is... Okay, you have to question why we do lionize people like... and I can't really finish that sentence, because there aren't many people like Michael Caine, sort of Hollywood stalwarts who are British. There's hardly any at all. I think that might be the root of it, that there's so few Brit actors that actually make it in Hollywood that if they do, they're almost beyond critique.
Thing is, they used to. There's so many that went to America.
Like who?
Well, lots of people. Lots and lots of people.
Well, name one.
Well, I mean, there's so many I can't think of it. But I mean, there's so many Brit actors that have been good in Hollywood. But him, I can't see it at all.
No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, he has been in a few good films, and I just pulled up International Movie Database, which is this mine of information on the World Wide Web, and I'm looking at the amount of films that he's been in, and it took me a while to scroll down to the bottom of the page. Have a wild stab in the dark. How many films he's been in? That's right, 134.
Yeah.
Staggering.
Yeah, I know.
Most of which I've never heard of, and most of which I would imagine I haven't heard of because they're rubbish.
Yes, directed by Michael Winner and such. What do you...
By the way, that's an excellent point, by the way. Michael Winner, does his money come from making those movies? And if so, how? Who's seeing them, really? Michael Winner, what has he done? He's done Death Wish, and what else?
There you are. Death Wish 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, but
4.
no, who went to see Death Wish, the Death Wish series? That can't be anybody.
No.
Is he actually making money from those? How annoying.
There you are. That's kind of,
That's the world we live in, Brian. We've just got to put up with it, eh? All right, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
0845 6060 973. Let's just go through a few of these. I'll start from the most recent and then work back. The Dark Knight. Is that the Batman thing? He took over John Gielgud. Was it John Gielgud? Who was the butler in Batman? All of the... they must be kind of irritated about this. John Gielgud was the butler in Batman. Who was the butler in the Arthur movies? Was that
Dudley
John
Moore?
No, Dudley Moore was the main character. You know, the butler. I suppose you'd like me to wash your bleeping bleep for you. That guy. Another one of our great stage actors. And then, of course, there was Frodo in Star Wars. What's his name?
I've not seen Star Wars, I don't know.
Oh, what? Say that again.
I've not seen Star Wars.
What? How can you have not seen Star Wars?
I've had this conversation with about 1 million different people.
Are you out of your mind? You haven't seen Star Wars?
No.
Good grief. Well, don't waste another second. Get out there and rent it. I'm stunned. How can a bloke over the age of the ability to work a remote control not have seen Star Wars?
It's just never interested me.
Well, I suppose you like films with Keira Knightley in them. I'm stunned. I don't know where to put myself. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, great British actors who are forever known for stupid comic turns in American movies. The guy who was the butler in the Arthur movies, I can't remember what his name is. He was one of the great stage actors, and that's all anybody remembers him for.
Should I check it on IMDb for you?
Yeah, do it on another page, because I want to do... I'll go through this Michael Caine list. And then there was the guy in Star Wars. Well, I can't remember what his name is now, or the name of the character. You know, the guy that Luke goes to. It's not Yoda, the other one. Oh, Struth, my brain is leaking out my ears.
It was John Gielgud.
John Gielgud was the butler in Arthur, right? Which was just a comic turn. What's the out here? 58. It was just a comic turn, which is the only thing anybody remembers him for, which must be very... well, he's probably dead now, isn't he? Is he still dead? It's probably the only thing that anybody ever remembers him for. And the chap in Star Wars, I'm going out of my mind. I must... if I can't think of this chap's name before the news, I think I'm going to throw myself out the window. Either his name or the name of the character. Please help me. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the correct answer. He's one of our great stage actors too, and nobody can think of anything else he's done. This is LBC.
I enjoy working with people.
You bet your life I do. M25, hello Mike.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Mike.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, right, well, first of all, can I just pick you up on something? The actor who was in Star Wars was Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness is the right answer.
One of our finest actors ever produced in the country.
Well, yes, but I'm right. Nobody ever remembers anything else he's done.
Oh, well, really?
Unless you're like my dad's age, when you can remember the old black and white movies. But
how old's your dad?
Well, he's I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, anyway, yes, Alec Guinness has been responsible for some of the finest films made, Ealing comedies in particular.
Yes, that's right. Black and white movies that nobody under the age of 40 watches. So the only thing that anybody who was born in colour remembers him for is the silly thing in Star Wars.
Well,
Feel the Force, Luke.
Also, Dr. Zhivago.
Dr. Zhivago.
Yeah.
No, that was a chick flick. I didn't watch it.
Wasn't a chick flick. Goodness gracious. What nonsense. Anyway, talking about another Sir Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
Sir Michael Caine. I think you're doing him a huge injustice.
Well, I knew you'd say that.
Especially that silly woman who was on earlier. Now, can I just ask you a question? Because I'm sure I know the answer from that silly woman who was on earlier. Have you actually seen the remake of The Italian Job?
No.
Ah! Well, there you are.
Well, every review, without exception, said it was terrible.
Yes, but you're missing the point. It's nothing to do with The Italian Job. It's not a remake of The Italian Job.
Right, well, I wasn't criticising the remake. I was criticising the original, which I think is terrible.
Well, that's rubbish, Nick. You're off your head, man. It was an absolute classic.
No, it really isn't. That is the perceived wisdom. When was the last time you saw it?
About 2 months ago.
2 months ago. And from that recent viewing, you can honestly tell me, without blushing, that you thought it was a classic film.
It is a classic film.
It flat out isn't.
Another classic film is Zulu, which is one of Great Britain's finest films, produced by Stanley Baker, starring Stanley Baker, and introducing Sir Michael Caine. Well, Michael Caine as he was then.
Well, that wasn't the first... Introducing. It wasn't the first time he was on film.
Well, it was the first time he was introduced as a sort of mainstream actor.
Right.
First division. But then he then went on to do the series of Harry Palmer films. For instance, The Ipcress File. Great film.
Well, I think great from their time, but I don't think those movies stand up anymore.
Well, they do. I'm sorry, but they do. You've got to take them in the context with which they were made. They were made in a black and white, an area which is black and white, but they were made in colour. And what about, also, have you seen Plaza Suite? He was nominated for Academy Award for that. And also Hannah and Her Sisters. I think he won.
Plaza Suite. That he was playing opposite
Maggie Smith.
Maggie Smith, yeah, who, by the way, stole every scene that they were both in. But that's true. No, be honest. Maggie Smith stole every scene that they were both in.
You haven't seen it?
I have seen it. I absolutely have. She needs another drink when she gets to the lobby because the last one wore off in the lift. It's great.
I think they played off each other extremely well in that film. Hannah and Her Sisters. I think that was the film he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Right, well, if Hannah and Her Sisters isn't a chick flick, then I'm a banana.
Does it matter?
Yes, it absolutely does, yeah.
It's a Woody Allen film, so therefore it's for everybody.
Woody Allen, well, say no more. Good grief. Go and re-examine the Woody Allen canon and try and come up with a good movie. There isn't one. You go and see Manhattan or Annie Hall, which people...
Manhattan is brilliant!
Well, yeah, at first it was. Go and see it again now, and there's not a smile in it. It's an old geezer who finds himself, unaccountably, when this seems to be the recurrent thread in Woody Allen movies, some wiry, stick-thin, ugly, balding old geezer seems to be a babe magnet. 16-year-old girls are throwing themselves at him. What's that about?
You're just jealous, mate.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I want to be Woody Allen. Yeah.
For that reason alone, I would think.
Well, yeah. Well, I think there's an area we better not stray into, eh? Thanks a lot, Mike. Cheers, ta-da.
Bye for now, bye-bye.
Yeah, Woody Allen, there's another one. Let's start demolishing the pedestals that we put these people on. Here's a few. I'll just go through some of the list of Michael Caine movies. Just some of the ones that I've heard of, because the thing with Michael Caine is, it's almost as though he's never said no. He's appeared in some rubbish, be honest. I mean, you could cherry-pick some of these movies and say that they were good. I can't, off the top of my head, think of any that have been great. But most of these, you've got no idea what they are. Primarily because no one in their right minds would go and see them. 134 movies, and most of them are rubbish. Sailor Beware, Navy Log, The Vice, The Key. Much of this is television. Sleuth was in 1972, a tremendous film, during which, and I'll say it again, he was acted off the screen by his co-star continuously throughout. But that's not his fault, in that respect. I mean, he did a good job in Sleuth. It's just that he was sharing the screen with one of the greatest actors in history. So anybody was on a loser. The Marseille Contract. California Suite was 1978, and it was a pretty good couple of years for him, because A Bridge Too Far was in there as well. But of course, A Bridge Too Far was, there was no one in the history of acting was not in A Bridge Too Far. It was an hour too far, because I think it was about 10 hours long. It just went on and on and on. Oh, blimey, here's another face I recognise. So that, we'll just pass over that. Jaws the Revenge. I rest my face. And then, more recently, it's just a lot of tripe. On Deadly Ground, Quills, Shiner, Miss Congeniality. Oh, Struth. Austin Powers in Goldmember, the only Austin Powers movie that wasn't funny. Around the Bend, the Batman movies, Need I Go On? Is East Ham, Samuel. And Woody Allen, by the way, as well. I grew up thinking that Woody Allen was one of the funniest people on the face of the planet, and Manhattan and Annie Hall are the two films, even that Woody Allen detractors would conceive, are greats. However, you see them again now, and maybe it's just something about the time in which they were made, because comedies of old aren't funny anymore. You know, precious few of them. There's the all-time comic greats, Laurel and Hardy, will always be funny. The Tramp, what's his name? Charlie Chaplin, not so much. Kind of a little bit. He was too maudlin and trying to wrench the emotions out of us. The poor little flower girl. And give us a break. But Woody Allen, I don't know. He himself parodied the thought at the time when I think it might have been Stardust Memories or one of those, where aliens came down and started talking to him and said, "Oh, you're Woody Allen, yeah, we like your early funny movies." Well, yeah, I think most of us did at the time. But you go back and see him again, like as I say, the two films that really sort of started his serious phase, when he wasn't just running about in a banana suit. They're not funny anymore. They just aren't. In fact, they're a bit creepy. Some old geezer who every woman who passes him by wants to have sex with. Give us a break. Even in the films that Woody Allen isn't in, that he directs, there's a character who is his cipher, who is some old, ugly middle-aged geezer that every girl from 16 up who passes him wants to tear her clothes off and throw herself on him. What are you telling us, Woody? Well, anyway. Here is East... Oh, I've done that one. Have I done East Ham in Samuel? I haven't done that one. Hello, Samuel.
Hello there.
Samuel.
I've just been waiting a while for you to finish about Woody Allen. Who incidentally, I agree with you on that. I've never really liked Woody Allen either. And in fact, you're right. Michael Caine as well is another one who's really passed me by. I mean, I agree with you. Although I can't believe I'm actually phoning up to defend one of his films.
Go on.
I went to see by accident, and I laughed till I nearly cried.
By accident?
Yes, actually it was. In fact, you know the Star Trek you mentioned, Star Wars?
Yeah.
I actually went with a group of friends to go and see Star Wars, and we were late, and it was my fault, and we couldn't get in.
Uh-oh.
And so they were showing at the same time a film called Dirty Rotten Scoundrels with...
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin and Michael Caine. And in fact, I never liked Steve Martin either. And so, it was, I thought I'd go in there anyway, since we could get into it.
Yeah.
And I laughed so much, honestly, I nearly cried. It's one of the funniest films I've ever seen.
But who are you laughing at? Steve Martin?
No, in fact, between them, I thought it was absolutely a marvellous performance. In fact, there was a woman in there as well. I can't remember who it was, as well, actually, but it's an absolutely great film. In fact, I'd recommend it to everybody if they can find it.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is a funny film, yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, you've seen it, okay.
I have, yeah.
Indeed, yeah. Well, as I say, that must be a fluke in, I think, in Michael Caine's career. Right. In fact, Steve Martin, for that matter, as well, because, I've never really repeated either of them.
Well, Steve Martin, the thing that made Steve Martin, of course, was that he was a stand-up, and he was a stand-up who was almost... unique in the history of stand-ups. He didn't appear to have any idea either that what he was doing, or even that he was on stage. And I think that was the key to his likability, was that he seemed to be a baby in a man's body, caught in the spotlights, completely unaware of what was going on. But
if you no idea what he was doing.
I think that if a film existed of his original stage show, which became so big, he was playing to rock star type audiences, the first comedian to actually do that. And he was up there with I don't know, as a draw with like David Bowie. It was absolutely, in America, massive. And then he went and did The Jerk, which was his first film, and that was a properly funny movie. And then he did the Cyrano de Bergerac film, and he was properly funny in that. And then, and I can remember this as a moment of one of the greatest moments of cruelty in the history of television. Dennis Pennis, who exactly right, collared him at something that Steve Martin was going into, and shouted, "Hey Steve, how come you're not funny anymore?" And the look on Steve Martin's face was as though he'd just been shot. And I felt sorry for him from that moment on, because he isn't funny anymore.
Well, I remember somebody asking me to get out a film called A Man with Two Brains once. And
yes.
It was so funny.
That is very funny as well, yeah.
Sorry, no, I didn't
a tremendous physical comedian. Samuel, I've got to go, but thanks very much.
Okay.
0845 6060 973. It's 8:17. LBC Travel with Steve Reed.
Thank you very much, Lee.
Yes. I had the weirdest dream the other night. I never dream about celebrity. Well, I hardly ever remember my dreams. I have them because I think that you go berserko if you didn't. It's part of the human condition that you have to have, and nobody really knows why. Psychologists pretend that they know why. It's sorting out the day's events and blah, blah, blah. But it could be anything. They're just making it up. Don't believe a word a psychologist says. And I'm speaking as someone who's got a degree in the subject, which doesn't mean that I know anything. I don't know anything. No one should listen to this show. But I had a dream, the oddest dream the other night. And it came to mind because Jenny Eclair was talking about a dream that she had about Kylie Minogue's handbag. I can't remember what she said right now. I was busy doing something else at the time, but she had something to do with Kylie Minogue's handbag. Do you ever have dreams about famous people?
I have once or twice, yeah.
Really? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Say no more. But I'll tell you about that in a minute. But if you've had a dream about a famous person, or just us, I think we better stick with that, because otherwise there'll just be all sorts of weirdness. Then we'll compare. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. 0845 6060 973. Mine was about Naomi Campbell, who doesn't cross my mind, for weeks on end, until she throws a phone at someone. You read about it in the newspaper. Those are the two jobs that you don't want to be. Naomi Campbell's PA and the airport greeter for Bajork. If you haven't seen it, it must be still on YouTube. Bjork being met at the airport by a woman reporter, and she goes absolutely off her head. It's hilarious for everybody apart from the woman reporter. Bracknell. Oh, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I phoned up impulsively and.
Did you?
Oh, that sounds too exciting.
No, did you? I mean, did you?
I did. Yeah, I did, mate. Yeah,
did you really?
I did. Mm-hmm. Because you said, when that guy said to you about Michael Caine, that you can't think of many good British actors who've made it big in Hollywood.
No, that's right.
And my mind immediately, on a historical basis, went back to Charlie Chaplin.
Yes.
Was it East End Boy?
Mm-hmm. One.
One of the two of the Lauren Hardy partnership, I think you like them, don't you?
Well, yeah, what's not to like?
You think they're funny.
They are funny.
They're worth watching, even time and time and time again.
Not all of their films, of course. I mean, they got less funny the later in their career they went, and they perhaps kept it up just a little too long. I think they were upset at the end of their careers that the public's taste had changed to something a little more aggressive, and that the Three Stooges and Abbott Costello started to become more popular than they were, and they couldn't understand it, because that gentle comedy that they pursued, the public's taste waned, probably to do with the times, you know.
Strange times, because there was a strong censorship, wasn't there, in American cinema at that time? Yeah, you had that thing where there's a naughty, naughty, naughty party with the Keystone Cops in Hollywood, when they're all doing things like, illicit narcotics and all kinds of strange gyrations with their bodies. Do you know about that?
What the hell are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is the public image of the Hollywood star had to be squeaky clean.
That's right. Yeah.
But behind the facade of rectitude and
you could say that you could say that about anybody in the public gaze, up to including royalty. Their public persona is not necessarily the same as their as the reality of their private life.
Yeah.
And you could say that continues today.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a certain time.
No, shut up! Don't be horrible and nasty. You never like that with women.
Oh, get on with it.
That Democratic politician called the New York State governor, who condemned all those immoral activities of other people, has been found out to be cavorting with high-class women of the night.
Yeah, big surprise there, eh? No,
right. Anyway, Bob Hope.
Bob Hope, yeah, that's right. But people don't think of Bob Hope as being British.
But he was.
Neither do they think of Charlie Chaplin as being British. Neither do they think of Stan Laurel as being British. But we're going back a very long time for this list.
But these are mega stars. James Mason.
James Mason. Well, I've criticised Michael Caine a little bit. Don't get me started on James Mason. James Mason was never in a good film. Name one good film James Mason was in. If James Mason is his name is on the cast list, run, fleeing from the cinema.
I think it's all right. I quite like him.
James Mason.
I quite like him. But then again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That kind of stuff. One man's good film star is another man's.
I understood the first.
Okay, sorry. I read it. All right. I keep forgetting you're degree educated, even though you learned nothing at that university you went to.
Not a single thing.
Yeah, except to how to talk eloquently and earn mega bucks on radio stations.
Oh,
Laurence Olivier. Oh, you're chuckling now.
Laurence Olivier.
Yeah?
But he didn't really make it big in Hollywood.
I think he got called out there at some stage. I think he did. I think, he was accepted. What about the recent one, what's his name? Kenneth Branagh.
Neither did he make it big in Hollywood.
Oh.
Well, he didn't. He just didn't.
How big do you want big to be?
Well, a movie star, Tom Cruise, people you've heard of.
Oh, yeah, but they're homegrown American stars, and Americans still feel a bit uncomfortable with the British accent. They quite like it in terms of, if they like a bit of Oxford English there, then it makes... Oh, well, what about Hugh Grant? Hugh Grant, because
well, I suppose you'd have to give him that. Yeah,
had a big swelling in Los Angeles.
He does make parochial British films that have a token American actress in. And that don't make him big in Hollywood.
Have you changed your sex all of a sudden? Because you said actress. Oh, I see, where he plays opposite an American actress.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
I see, right.
It's a British film which they've just shoehorned some American actress into.
Oh, I got. Yeah, but
4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me started on either, is not funny.
No.
It's actually embarrassing. That's the rudest film beginning I've ever heard in my life. Tell me a film that starts more rudely and gratuitously offensively than 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Everybody thinks, oh, it's such a work of art and it's just such a lovely film.
Yeah.
The first 14 words in that film are, well, they're all the same word.
Blast?
Not quite.
Worse than that?
A little bit.
Oh dear, that is bad. That's because they got rid of the office of the what's the censorship? What's the censorship office in the UK called? It was the Lord Chamberlain.
British Board of Film Classification.
No, the Lord Chamberlain. The Lord Chamberlain was a censor back in 1962.
Oh, I see what you mean, right.
And they got rid of him.
But we really aren't coming up with many British actors who
I think I've done quite well. What about the guy who, that auteur film that you really, really liked?
The only one on that...
Alfred Hitchcock, North by Northwest. Who was the actor in that?
Cary Grant.
I think he was British born. I really do.
You might be right, though, yeah.
I think you enthuse about that film.
It's a great film.
Suit never gets crumpled.
Well, yes, absolutely, yeah. And that was a British suit, apparently.
Was it really?
Savile Row, no less.
Oh, hang on, British directors do really well in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, but that's completely different. I'm talking about movie stars.
Oh, what about the woman? We're going to the feminine side.
Go on.
What about the woman in Gone with the Wind? Scarlett O'Hara.
Was she British?
Yeah, she was English. She was married to...
Listen to this list. I mean, there's practically nothing that's stretched into colour in this list apart from Hugh Grant.
Oh, we did the big ones at the beginning. What about Buster Keaton? Was he American? You don't know, do you? You don't know.
I'm sorry. I was concentrating on something else. What did you just say?
Audience, we have exposed this man as a complete fraud. I'll say goodbye on that one.
Oh, well, it's a dream come true.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, mate. Phew, do you think I got away with that one, Raj?
Just about,
Just about, yes. Let's not dwell on it, eh? We'll just press on. This is LBC 97.3. Back after this. Leatherhead. Hello, Ben.
Oh, how are you?
All right, thanks.
Right, I'm going to tell you who the comedian is, who's British, who also made it big in Hollywood and appeared in colour films. And I'll also tell you how to test how good comedy is.
All right, well, so far on this list, it's mostly in black and white. Charlie Chaplin, Bob Hope, Stan Laurel, James I'm going to take James Mason out. He was not a great British actor. Not on films that I saw. Maybe
he got too busy with his British accent.
And every film he was in was rubbish. I don't think there's a single film that James Mason that was in that was actually any good. Larry Olivier, no doubt about it. Hugh Grant.
He was married to Vivian Leigh.
Hugh Grant, then Cary Grant, of course. And what have you got?
Peter Sellers. No, he did make it big in Hollywood.
I have no argument there. Peter Sellers, yes, one of the great comic actors of our time.
Yes. And I'll tell you how you test how good comedy is.
Oh, yeah.
Right. If you laugh at something when you were young, and your kids laugh at it now, then it's funny. And my kids still laugh at Tommy Cooper.
Yes.
They find very funny. And they laugh at Monty Python. And they were...
Oh, no, I'm going to have to stop you there, Ben.
They were reenacting the Spam sketch.
Well, yes, okay. Now, Monty Python's greatest hits were funny, but Monty Python wasn't. You can sit through episodes of Monty Python and there's not a smile in them, apart from the cartoons.
Right, the cartoons are always funny. They churned out a lot of stuff, and you can't get hit every time, and it did amuse some people. But their films are always good. Their films are very funny. Life of Brian was hilarious.
Yep.
He was a very naughty boy. He's not the Messiah.
I know.
It's a great line. The Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers, yes.
You can't argue with that, can you?
If I'm going to make a list, I'll have to stick him in it. Thanks very much, Ben. Cheers.
Bye.
Right. Should I do my, maybe I'll hang off with my dream about Naomi Campbell. It was bizarre. But not in a good way. Let's have New Malden. Tara. Tara.
Hello.
Hello, Tara.
I was going to say Cary Grant.
You were named after a house.
Oh, yeah, the Kings of Ireland.
Something like that.
But then I thought of Dudley Moore, because that guy who was boring me to death, if he gave any other English names, I was going to die. And he got Cary Grant, but Dudley Moore, I think he did quite well.
He did, yes.
He made me laugh, anyway.
Yeah.
Especially in those,
Arthur films.
Yes.
Well, that was really the only thing that he succeeded in. Oh, and 10.
10 or
10,
something,
yeah.
I was living in Norway at the time, and they did subtitles and stuff, so I missed a lot.
Right. But Dudley Moore, a very bizarre choice for a sex object, which is what he became in
did
movies.
He? Oh.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, he was about... Well, I don't know exactly how tall he was, so I'll just make it up. 4'9".
Yeah.
And he walked with a limp, because there was something wrong with his leg. I can't remember what it was. And, he looked like that. But even he became a sex object.
Did he?
So we've all got hope.
Oh.
Rog.
I just
even
thought it
you.
was funny.
All right, thanks very much, Tara.
Okay.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Can you match my dream about a celebrity? Oh, in fact, Jenny Eclair's dream about Kylie Minogue's handbag. You ever had a dream about a celebrity there? Yes, I'm looking at you. Oh, he's shaking his head. It's like caught in the headlights. Oh, me? What you looking at? Bromley, Pat.
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Pat.
Nick, I've got it wrong. I thought you meant sort of any comedians that were good years ago, and I come up with Abbott and Costello. Do you remember them?
Oh, do I remember them? I used to get called that at school all the time. Yeah,
they
of
always
course.
remind me of that school summer holidays.
Who's
they
on
always used to be
first?
on in the morning in the summer holidays.
Right. Who's on first, what's on second, and I don't know who's
Yeah.
on third. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I didn't realise
sketch, by the way, if you've never seen that sketch, that's also available on YouTube in about a dozen different versions.
Oh, right.
properly funny.
Yeah, and also the Three Stooges, I used to like that as well.
I know who they are, and I know what they do, but I've never seen them do it.
Oh no, quite very, very slapstick, but really funny. Yeah.
And I think that's what the public's taste, especially in America, went to as Laurel and Hardy's son faded. That's not quite the phrase that I was looking for, but that'll do. Yeah. And it kind of upset them because they couldn't understand why the public would like people slapping each other in the face as opposed to the more sort of gentle and considered comedy that they were doing.
Yeah.
But, you know, tastes change.
And what was funny with Laurel and Hardy is they would always, especially the big one, I can't remember which one he was, he would just look at the camera, wouldn't he, and make a sort of exasperated face about the other one.
Well,
that was the funny bit, I think.
Oliver Hardy was the big one.
That's it.
Stan Laurel was the British one. Stan Laurel, now I'll just stray into territory that I have a vague knowledge of, but not a lot, so correct me if I go wrong. Stan Laurel was the chap who wrote Laurel and Hardy, and he was the one who was bent over a typewriter, working all hours of the day and night, in at the studio very early in the day, making sure everything was perfect. Oliver Hardy, on the other hand, who was, of the two, I would say the more gifted comedian, the more naturally gifted comic talent, was on the golf course all day, would show up at the very last minute, just do his little thing where he flipped his tie around and looked in exasperation at the camera, and everyone would be falling in the aisles.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I could watch them now.
All day long, yeah. Thanks, Pat.
Okay, bye-bye.
0845 6060 973. Barnet. Hello, Mirelle.
Hello, Nick.
Mirelle. Marbell.
I was going to say, I phoned up to stick up for James Mason. You can't think of a good film he's been in?
Not one.
Okay, well, it's not a film up to the Let There Be Blood accreditation, but a really good film that he was in, I think's really good.
Let There Be Blood?
No, I'm saying, you know, not to that sort of standard as in Oscar-winning.
What's Let There Be Blood?
What's the one that Daniel Day-Lewis has just got? Is it Let There Be Blood? Oh, I can't think of the name, but anyway. But it was a very good film anyway. No laughter, please. And that's Salem's Lot.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you're joking.
I am not joking with you, Morel.
It is it's a horror film, okay? If you can ignore the 1970s clothes, right, because it was made in the 70s, it's with David Soul, Bonnie Badila, and
Okay, well, let me stop you right there. David Soul, you've got to be joking.
No, it is a really scary film. And the thing is, if you see it now, because I saw it a few months ago, and you ignore the clothes, because the era it was made in, it is still terrifying. And James Mason, in one of the scenes, it's just before she's going to be her blood's going to be sucked by the vampire.
Oh, nice.
He stops her leaving the house, and she says, "Where are you taking me?" And he says in his fantastic acting voice,
yes,
"I'm taking you to see the man that you wanted to see," and it makes shivers go all the way down your spine. It is terrifying.
Were they wearing collars so big you could land a plane on them?
Yeah, they were actually.
Yeah.
It was a bell-bottom trousers. I always think, Nick, they could make it again. But the thing is, you'd lose James Mason, and you'd also lose David Soul and Bonnie Badila, and I think they make the film.
Right, well, that film must suck out loud if David Soul makes it. Come on.
No, it's a really... All right, it's a really good film. Trust me, rent it out and see it.
I absolutely will not do that.
Oh, Nick! Take some advice from a regular caller who wants you to see a good film with James Mason.
Yeah, okay, you can plead until you're blue in the face, Morel. I'm not going to do it.
I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, me too.
I agree with the Woody Allen thing, though. I don't understand the films at all.
Oh, well, I understand them, and I found them
funny.
I found them funny at the time. But Manhattan came on one of the movie channels just the other day, and I thought, oh gosh, I haven't seen this in decades. I'll sit down and watch it now. How great! One of the great films, comic films of all time. I got about 10 minutes in. I thought, this is rubbish.
They're all the same. They all are an old man and the young woman.
Yeah,
they all are, whether he's in it or not.
And comes to find out that life imitates art. Yes. Thanks, Morel.
Thank you.
Cheers. Ta-ra. Woody Allen. I mean, how did that go so wrong?
I don't get a deal with Marlon Brando.
Oh, really?
I don't know why he's supposed to be the best, method actor or whatever. I don't know what it is that he does. I saw him in Apocalypse Now.
And you didn't think he was good in Apocalypse Now?
Well, I didn't see him doing anything that someone else could have done. I didn't get it. I don't get what the appeal is with that.
The thing with Apocalypse Now was that apparently the director, Francis Ford Coppola, was very upset that when Marlon Brando appeared on set to play the role, and it wasn't a very long shoot with Marlon Brando, because he's not in the movie very much, even though the entire film gravitates around him. But he showed up for, I think the fee at the time was $2 million, which at that time was a gigantic amount of money for an actor to be paid for in a movie. And he said that, Marlon Brando said that the commissary, I think that's what they call them, the chap at the gate when you go into the movie lot, will smile at you widely, and the wideness of his smile will depend on how much you're being paid. And he said he'll give you a little a nod through if you're just one of the extras, and he'll smile at you politely if you're, sort of second or third billing. But he will give, his phrase was, the full Flatbush Cemetery if you're earning millions and millions of dollars, which is what he was at the time. But he showed up on set for Apocalypse Now, massively fat, which wasn't appropriate for the character that he was playing. Some, Colonel Killjoy or Kill...
Something like that.
Something like that. But living in the jungle. I mean, Dunkin' Donuts is nowhere to be seen. And so a giantly fat man is not appropriate for that character, which is, I think, why you don't get to see much of him. It's all close shots of his skull and of his face, and...
He's always in the darkness, though.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right, and I think that's the reason why they had to work around him, in much the same reason that in Jaws you don't see the shark much, principally because the mechanical shark didn't work very well, and so they had to shoot. They were forced to shoot around the fact that the thing that they'd built to be the shark was rubbish, which is why you can't see the shark, which made the film much better. Because of it. And I think the same is also true of Apocalypse Now. Marlon Brando's appearance in that film is much more powerful because you don't get to see him very much. You just get to see sort of little bits of him in shadow. Funny how things work out for the best, eh? 8:45. LBC Travel with Steve Reed.
Thanks.
Fabulous.
Here's Covent Garden. Hello, Saskia.
Hello, Nick.
Saskia.
Hello.
Hello.
I often dream about famous people.
Do you?
I do, yeah.
Do you? Right. But so you remember your dreams frequently?
I used to remember my dreams a lot and write them all down.
Why?
Because I used to think that they were interesting. But I don't worry, I realised that they're not, and now I've trained myself to not remember my dreams.
When were you disabused of that notion?
Only probably about, 5 or 6 years ago.
Right. And have you got books and books of this stuff?
I've got one on my lap right now, because I actually remember this dream that I had about Margaret Thatcher when I was,
Margaret
16.
Thatcher came to you in your dreams?
You do? Exactly. And I've got it in front of me. I've got my diary from March, Wednesday the 25th, 1987, when I was 16. It's on my lap now.
How could you go to the point at which, in the book, that you dreamt of... What have you cross-referenced this stuff?
I did, actually, a little bit, although... But
Your dream books come with an index.
They have slightly, yeah. But I kind of flicked through and found it because it says at the top that it's a dream rather than something from the day.
Right.
And I did find it quite quickly. And in fact,
so this is actually diaries that you've written.
Yeah, it's diaries, but then on some pages, instead of my diary, it's got my dream from the night before.
Do you ever go back and, because there was a period in my life, a very brief period, I think I was mostly travelling at the time, that I wrote a diary, and you go back and you read it, and does it seem as though you're reading what somebody else has written?
Yeah, it's really scary.
You can't relate to that person at all. It's kind of bizarre, isn't it?
Apart from the memories that I'm talking about, so say when I'm 16 I'm talking about a memory when I was 10, I can still remember the same memory, although sometimes, it's changed a bit over the years. But, it's weird.
It is strange.
Yeah.
Because you are essentially the same person, and you have the same wants and desires, and, I don't want to be a fireman anymore, but, I'm still more or less the same person. But,
when did you stop wanting to be a fireman?
When I started wanting to be a skiing instructor.
Oh, really?
And the two aren't compatible.
That's true. Well, I
You
don't
can't
know.
ski and put out fires at the same time.
Well, unless you could have some.
Oh, you're really thinking about this, Saskia. You're coming up with a solution.
You could have some skis where you gather the snow
Yeah.
on the back or on the front, and then you have to ski.
You
have
could
to be a fireman in a ski resort.
You could do a parallel turn stop really quickly, sending a shower of snow up over a fire, which happened to be handily placed right there, yeah.
You could. But you probably
But
wouldn't
not
get
as
that
a
much
career, no.
No. No.
Go on then, Margaret Thatcher.
Okay, so actually it's a really violent dream, but I won't bother telling you that bit, because that bit didn't have that much to do with it. But I was babysitting Margaret Thatcher's 2 babies, and she was sort of still there because she was about to leave for the night, and I picked one of them up and was holding it in my arms, and she had sort of gone out of the room, and so I whispered to the baby, "Don't labour my child."
Don't what?
And, vote Labour, my child.
Labour?
Yeah, as a joke, in the dream. Am I confusing?
Don't labour, my child.
Yeah, I said that to the baby because
What does that
I
mean?
wanted... Because I didn't want the child to be a Conservative.
Don't labour, my child.
No, vote Labour.
Oh, vote Labour.
Yeah. And, but then the baby, even though it was just a little baby, turned around and said, "No way, I'm not voting for the Labs." And I thought to myself in the dream, "Oh no, the parents have already got to her."
You're really freaking me out, Saskia.
Well, I was 16, come on. It's not meant to make sense, and it was a dream anyway.
Well, I suppose so, yeah. All right, well, thanks for sharing your innermost
Okay.
thoughts.
That's all
Cheers,
right.
my dear. Ta-ra.
Bye.
I had a dream about Naomi Campbell.
She wasn't hitting you or anything, was she? Being nasty?
Well, essentially, yes. She had me clean her flat. She said, "Clean my flat, and I'll make you a drink." And so I can vividly remember shining her silver balustrade with a with a yellow duster. Why they're yellow? Nobody knows. Why are they yellow? Why not white? White would show up the dirt better. Why are they yellow? Inquiring minds are keen to find out. Why are dusters yellow? Oh, who cares? But I was shining her flat in order that she would make me a drink. "I'll make you a drink," she says, "if you clean my flat." So I got straight to it. On my hands and knees I was, rubbing up a storm. And I finished, did a tremendous job. You could see your face in it, you could. And she made me a cup of instant coffee. What? A cup of instant coffee? How tight's that? What a cow. Here is Pimlico. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Nick. I love
Lisa.
your show.
Thank you.
It's great. Can I ask you about your Naomi Campbell dream?
Yeah.
What was she wearing? Do you remember?
Well, I want to say a long flowing red dress. Now, I don't know
Red.
why I'm saying that, but that's what's
Red.
coming to me, yeah.
Oh, fascinating.
She looked great in
Was
it.
it like an Oscar-style dress? Or...
Yeah, something like that. She was just lounging, you know.
Oh, fantastic.
Lounging about the place.
Sounds great. But I was calling mainly because of, is it Morel saying that Salem's Lot was a good movie?
Salem?
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah.
Horrible movie. It's like a bad B movie.
Well, it sounds like it. David Soul, 1970s. David Soul and
Really is
James
awful.
Mason. Yeah, awful.
Awful. It's really bad.
I knew it.
Don't watch it.
No, I won't. Horror movies in general, they just don't hold any appeal to me. I mean,
No, some of them do. Some of them are quite scary.
well, scary, yes, but I don't really feel the desire to be scared a lot.
Yeah.
Although, having said that, I really did enjoy that shaky camera film, Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch Project.
I've seen it twice. Once on television, when I just thought this is just a bunch of kids running about the forest with a camera. This is silly. I saw it in the movies at first with a packed house in a large, naturally dark room.
So you feed off the fear of each other.
I have never been so scared
Yeah.
seeing anything in all my life. I just wanted it to end. And it's a short film. I just couldn't wait for it to be over.
I know. Not such a scary movie, but have you seen Cloverfield? Talking about shaky cameras? That's quite good.
Oh, Cloverfield. That's that thing that recently came out that had this giant internet word-of-mouth campaign, right?
Yeah, but it's a really good movie.
Okay, well, don't tell us anything about it.
I won't tell you anything more, but it's good. I recommend that above.
I'll seek it out.
And Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Good movie that he's done. It's not all about older men and younger women.
Bananas.
Match Point.
Match
with
Point.
Scarlett Johansson.
No.
And what's his name? Gorgeous one.
Hugh.
No. He's Irish.
Rhys Ifans.
Drinks a lot.
That bloke.
Yeah, really good looking.
Yeah. Has sex with a lot of totally hot babes.
I don't know, really.
Yeah, I think so. He's always in the paper having sex with totally hot babes.
One thing I do know is that he's going out with Ruby...
Venezuela?
No. Well, I can't remember his name, but he's a really hot, young actor.
Right,
and
of course.
It's a really good movie, and Woody Allen is not in it.
It's a Woody Allen film about tennis.
Boring! No, it's not about tennis. It's not about tennis. At all.
Right, like I said, it has nothing to do with it. It's called Match Point. How can it not be about tennis?
You have to watch it. I recommend it.
All right, then.
All right, have a nice evening.
Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
I don't think I'll be watching it. A latter-day Woody Allen film that's about tennis, that just it doesn't push any of my buttons.
Don't like tennis, do you?
Tennis used to be interesting in the 1970s. You can remember when tennis was interesting, can't you?
No.
No, me neither. Way in the mists of time when Jimmy Connors and the Iceman from Norway, or wherever he came from,
Bjorn Borg.
Bjorn Borg. Crazy name, really boring bloke. Who used to win all the time without breaking a sweat. It looked like he was in a catatonic state most of the time. But at that point, Jimmy Connors particularly, that's when tennis was interesting. After that point... I mean, I challenge you now to name me the top 3 tennis players in the world. I bet you can't do it.
Roger Federer.
He's actually going to try. Can you believe this?
Rafael Nadal.
Right. Now you're just making it up.
No, those 2 are top 2, at least.
Top 2 at least?
Yeah. Well, Roger Federer's number 1.
Do you want to pause and think about what you just said? This is LBC 97.3.
Crazy.
The old bag's right. 0845 6060 973. Kids just want to be... Ask kids what they want to be. We were talking about this just before the news about, I wanted to be a fireman, and then I wanted to be a skiing instructor. And then I heard Radio Luxembourg, and I wanted to be a DJ. Hey, DJ! Oh, thanks, Rog. Nice cup of tea. Let's have a little tasty. Oh, I bet this is lovely. Shocking. Really, it's just water in a tea bag, a little bit of sugar and some milk. How can you screw that up so comprehensively? Honestly. Be honest. You're trying to make it badly, aren't you?
I think next time I'll make it under your supervision, then you can see how I do it.
When I say 1 sugar, what do you take as that means?
I always do half one of those spoons because it's a big spoon.
Half?
Do you really want a whole one of those big tablespoons?
A tablespoon?
Yeah.
That's a half a tablespoon of sugar?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not like salt that's out there? Is it anthrax you're putting in my tea? It's something that's not sugar. It's not very sweet sugar.
Shall I put some more sugar in there?
Speaking of which...
Oversweeten it for you.
Speaking of which, if you are under an anthrax attack, do you know what you should do? That's right. Run and make yourself a nice cup of tea. This is true, apparently. English breakfast tea could soon be the latest bio-terror countermeasure protecting the public against an anthrax attack, according to a new study. Every now and again there will be some sort of, somebody will receive a packet of powder in the post, and they'll say that there's a new anthrax attack, and we're all expecting something at any moment. So, this is useful information to know. If you don't learn nothing else from this show, then you'll have learnt nothing else from this show.
Yes.
Anthrax attack, make yourself a cup of tea. As well as protective suits and anthrax injections, a humble cup of black tea could well be added to the national defences against the bacterium Bacillus anthracis, more commonly known as anthrax. A joint American-British study has concluded that a cup of tea has more to offer than coffee as an antidote. that they would compare the two just seems willfully bizarre. I mean, you hardly think, oh, anthrax, I know, what shall I have, tea or coffee? Or perhaps just run screaming from the building. The team led by Professor Les, he's very good, of the University of Maryland, reports in the journal Microbiologist, which is one of my favourite journals, that the English breakfast tea has the potential to inhibit the activity of anthrax so long as it's taken black. And, on the same topic of things that are going to kill you, potentially harmful levels of arsenic have been found in a popular milk substitute. Now, a lot of people don't take milk because, they're lactose intolerant initially. My machine's got the hiccups. Every now and again it develops a little hiccup, and you can't play anything without it. I'll reboot it. If at first you don't succeed, switch it off and on again, right? The trouble is with this thing, it takes forever to come back on again. I'll try it. I'll go naked for a while. Orally naked. Time it. This is rubbish, this thing. It costs about $3,000. It's a 908. I've just asked it to reboot. In fact, it's 909. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's see how long it takes. I bet it's not back for past. Potentially harmful levels of arsenic have been found in a popular milk substitute. Now, some people don't drink milk, as I say, because they're lactose intolerant. Some people don't drink it because they've read in a magazine that if they don't drink milk, they'll be, lean and clean and, a sexual machine, and their skin will clear up and all that rubbish. What nonsense. Rice milk is one of the things that people replace it with, which just sounds repellent, doesn't it? Milk made from rice. What, in other words, the stuff that's in the pan when you put the rice in a sieve and you rinse it before you use it. The white stuff that comes off it, that.
Have you tried it?
No. Which doesn't prevent me from having an opinion on it. Thanks for asking.
No worries.
A team at the University of Aberdeen found that the poison, arsenic, which can cause cancer if ingested over a long period, in 4 brands of rice milk found in supermarkets. These contain quantities of the poison up to 3 times higher than allowed in drinking water. The Food Standards Agency said last night that levels did not exceed those allowed in other non-alcoholic drinks, which are normally consumed in smaller quantities than water. You're allowed to have arsenic in drinks, and they know about it. But it's okay because it's not very much. What kind of thing is that? Researchers reported their findings in the Journal of Environmental Monitoring, which I get on a regular basis, said whether rice is a food or a drink is a moot point, adding, if rice milk is a dietary constituent on a regular basis, chronic arsenic exposure at unsafe levels will occur. If you're drinking rice milk, you might be poisoning yourself with arsenic. I'm on about 3 pints of arsenic a day now, man. But I can handle it. I'm just feeling a bit dead at the moment, that's all.
I read somewhere that...
Did you? That's nice.
If you don't heat up rice properly, it can be one of the deadliest foods.
Really?
Yep.
Deadly... Why? Because it will expand in your stomach?
No, it's got that much bacteria or something like that on it. I don't know all the science, I'm not a scientist.
Well, look where they grow it. They grow it in fields. People walking about with bare feet. It's repellent.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's been washed by the time it gets to you. And boiled.
Yeah, that's right. Always boil. Everything that goes into your mouth, boil it first. Everything.
Boiled salad.
Erith. Hello, Graham.
No, Dan.
Dan. Hello, Dan.
I was looking to comment on the lack of funny films, but more seriously, unfunny people on the telly.
Unfunny people on the telly?
You know, whenever they introduce this man, they say, and here he is, funny man, Harry Hill. Or funny man...
Because otherwise you wouldn't know.
Yeah, but...
He's the guy with the comedy collars, right? I've never got it.
Doesn't do it for me.
No, me either. I've never got it. And whenever I say it, people ring up in their droves and say, oh, you want to give him a chance? That thing where he cuts up TV programmes? Oh, it's hilarious, they say.
But it's not him doing that. It's somebody else who's chopping that up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Good God almighty.
No, I don't get him either.
Listen, funny man Patrick Kilty. What? Funny man Joe Pasquale, do me a favour.
Oh, well, yeah, come off it, Dan.
And here's another one I don't get. Russell Brand.
Well,
What's that? What is that?
No, I've got no idea. Not a clue.
Is there anything genuinely funny around at the moment? I think it's all been overruled. But not allowed to have anything that can be deemed as tasteless or, not health and safety. What's these other jokers that spoil things? Politically correct, you know.
The politically correct people, yes.
Yeah, there's nothing... Everything's been killed off by political correctness. There's nothing funny around anymore. I mean, do you agree or not?
Well, everything that you've said, or all the names that you've mentioned, I don't find funny either. But all of the names that you've mentioned are British comics, and I tend to have, I've sort of realised, an American sensibility when it comes to funny. I mean, I watch Third Rock, and I know I'm kind of alone in this, Third Rock from the Sun, over and over and over again, because even though I can practically speak the script along with the cast, it's still the funniest thing on television.
Well, I don't know anything of that. But you mentioned somebody earlier who I'm a big fan of, and it's my good friend, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yeah.
My favourite film is actually Parenthood. I mean, there's such a lot of subplots in there. Everything's funny in the background.
Really? Parenthood. Well, the amusing part where he comes on, where he has a water fight a cowboy fight with his kids.
Well, all of that, but it's, you know, although it's not strictly an adult film, there's adult lines in it, you know. Even the way that his brother-in-law is bringing his child up to be a child genius, and lots of funny little things that are going on all in the background.
Well, he's a tremendous physical comedian, but I think he had a sort is the case with a lot of comedians. He has there's a dark side to his character, which I think is very unsure of himself, and so he's started to branch out as a serious actor. And
it's almost a shame when you hear that about comedy actors. I mean, what's the bloke who does the impressions on the telly? Who's gone into serious acting now? Seriously talented bloke on the BBC.
I don't know. Impressionist,
yeah. Well,
Rory...
No. It's gone now.
Bremner?
Alistair McGowan.
Alistair
McGowan.
Right.
Seriously, great, funny bloke, and his series are really funny. He's gone off into serious comedy. Why would he... into serious acting? Why would you do that?
Well, because the funny thing... Oh, it's not it's the bad word in this circumstance, but the weird thing is that comedy, while it's much more difficult than serious, isn't given the same sort of credit. You're only given... you're only taken seriously, which is another bad word in the circumstance. You're only taken seriously if you're a serious actor. If you're a comic actor, which I would suggest is much more hard to achieve successfully, people just think, oh well, he's just a funny man. But it's very difficult making people laugh. Not a lot of people can do it.
Well, who in your opinion makes you laughing?
Poor.
Going, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. Chris Rock, I think, is probably the stellar, talented stand-up around at the minute. But then he's American.
Yeah.
For a guaranteed laugh these days, I have to keep watching Third Rock from the Sun, which is being shown on sci-fi television. And I think they must have bought it as a mistake, because sci-fi TV are all these sort of Star Trek-like spin-off programs, and they thought Third Rock from the Sun, it's about aliens, or we'll have that. We're a sci-fi channel, but it's just a sitcom.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a bit like Red Dwarf. I never found that funny.
No, me either.
I mean, I could get if I prepared enough, I could have a list as long as anything with all things that.
Well, I know we could sit here moaning for ever and a day, Dan. But unfortunately, time is against us.
Les Dawson was funny. You know, people like that. I mean.
Actual gag machines, yeah, like Les Dawson, but then, you know, we'll start to talk about Tommy Cooper and all of that.
Have gags been ruled out of TV then these days? For offending people?
Gags have been ruled out in favour of catchphrases, which are easier to write because it's just the same thing over and over again. In much the same way that scripted programmes have been ousted by reality TV shows, which don't need somebody to sit down and write them.
God spare us.
I know. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Thank you. Good night.
But that's actually very true. It's the easy way out, and catchphrase comedy is the easy way out of comedy. Because you don't have to come up with gags. You don't have to write amusing situations, you just have to write about 6 of them and just repeat them over and over and over again. This year I am mostly wearing Versace, which was funny once, but, after that, it's just the same idea, again and again. 9:17. Travel now with Steve Reed.
Thank you very much. Now, in Woodford, the North Circular is closed.
Listening, dear, you can talk to me.
It was a little bit late, but, better late than never. 0845 6060 973. There were a couple of things that were in the paper today that I thought, shall I talk about this, shall I not? One was if you ask children what they want to be, the answer is always... Oh, and I was beginning to talk about this earlier on when I said that, as a kid I wanted to be a fireman, then I wanted to be a bus conductor, principally because buses used to come with the most fantastic button, which as a child you weren't allowed to press. Only the bus conductor could press the button. Oh no, wait a minute, you could press it once to stop, but you couldn't press it twice for the bus to go off again. And I deeply, seriously and yearningly wanted to press it twice. It was a silver circle, I'd say... about how big would you say that was, Raj?
Are we looking at 10 inches?
I can't find it on my little thing. Oh, there it is. Yeah, approximately. No, I would say the diameter was about 4 inches, a circle of silver with a red 1-inch diameter button in the middle. Oh, calling Dr. Freud. I wanted to press that button so badly, I wanted to be a bus conductor. And this was in the time, when in the good old days. You remember the good old days, don't you?
No.
When buses used to come without a back door. You could hang off the platform there. Oh, it was like working outside. But then, reality dawned, and being a bus conductor... also, they had a ticket thing which was slung around their neck, which must have been terrible for their posture, because I bet it weighed a ton. But they would whiz the handle around once, which made the most fantastic noise, and your ticket would shoot out of it. Oh, brilliant. These days, what have you got? A little card that goes beep. Where's the romance in that?
My uncle used to be a
Really?
bus
What a
conductor.
great story.
There we go.
Only here can I be that rude. But I'm joking. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, my uncle used to be a bus conductor years ago, and one Christmas he actually brought one of those machines out, because he brought it home for the weekend or something.
Yeah.
And it was really good fun, and you're right, it was much more fun to play with than a modern gadget that would do the same job.
Absolutely, yeah. And you feel kind of, I was going to say sorry for the kids today, but of course you don't, because they'll have iPod Touches and their little mobile phones, which they'll talk to their kids, and you wouldn't believe we used to have to actually pick up a phone and put it to our ear, as opposed to just speak to the chip that's implanted in our head, or whatever it is that's going to be in the future, So as we romanticise the past now, the mechanical age that has given over to the beeping age, so they will do the same to their kids.
I got on a bus recently and I forgot my Oyster card. And I didn't realise how expensive it was. And I just realised how old I'd become when I said £2. I used to get on this bus for 40p.
I bet all your hair fell out. New Cross, hello Richard.
How you doing? I'm getting a bit bored. Was that done on purpose?
No.
Oh.
I mean, yes.
Right, it's about your funny men and who you find funny. I used to find Ross Abbott funny. Remember him?
Ross Abbott?
Yeah. Cheers of joys and,
No, I almost without watching him, I made a decision that I didn't like him.
Why is that?
I don't know, because he always appeared on programmes that I didn't think were up my street. He was always on ITV, on Saturday night ITV, and that's not an area which I wanted to stick my toe in.
Do you know what? That's fair enough. But I was young, I didn't know about TV channels.
You didn't know any better, yeah.
Yeah, TV was just TV to me. I thought he was absolutely, I thought he was great. He just used to be funny. He was just the definition of someone that's funny, someone that chuckled at their own jokes.
Yeah.
Always smiled, had a bit of a dodgy grin.
Well, you're right about that. He was a funny man, in much the same way as Michael Barrymore was a funny man. I mean, some people just are funny and can make material that doesn't have much going for it better than it actually is. And the ultimate in that respect is, of course, Tommy Cooper, who could just walk on stage and breathe out. He'd go, and the audience would be in hysterics. He didn't have to say anything.
As you did that, it brought a little chuckle to me as well. But I mean, it's changed, isn't it? I mean, I love The Office now. I can watch the same way you watch Third Rock from the Sun. I can sit there and watch an episode of The Office.
Well, the difference, Richard, is that Third Rock from the Sun went for about 5 or 6 series, which would make it, getting on for 100 episodes. There was about 12 of The Office.
Yeah, but I mean, The Office is far superior to something like Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, I totally disagree. I completely disagree.
Oh, the humour is far more complicated, and you have to, there'll be about 6 jokes going on all at once, and you have to be connected. You have to watch it over and over again, and then you feel, oh, I didn't even know that was funny, but that is actually funny. And there's it's just little tiny facial expressions that you've got to click onto at the right time, and they're done perfectly just at the right time. And I think it's a far more superior show. I don't want to down Third Rock from the Sun, because I think, I'm a fan of John Lithgow, and I think he's great. But The Office has to be number 1 for me.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm a fan of The Office too. But thanks a lot, Richard.
All right. No,
cheers, mate. Ta-da. Yeah, John Lithgow. I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce his name, although it sounds odd saying it. John Lithgow. I think it's the second greatest comic performance in a sitcom outside of
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
No. I don't think that's I don't think there are great comic performances in that programme. It's just
Larry Sanders Show.
Well, as you said, Curb Your Enthusiasm, I went to Larry Sanders, yeah, and that is one of the great sitcoms of all time. He's in the news today. He's apparently having some problem with his agent, who he's accused of nicking money from him, and they sicked that... I can't remember what the name of the guy is, so I'll just stop there. They sicked some private investigator who was he used to dog Hollywood, this private investigator, go through people's rubbish and stuff like that. Anyway, that's by the by. No, it had to go much further back in time to get somebody who I think has performed as well in a sitcom as John Lithgow in Third Rock, and that is... Anyone else done another stab?
Basil Fawlty.
No, but...
Are we talking American here?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, yeah. Americans do make the best television. We used to think that we did, and perhaps there was a time at which that was true. But these days, I'm afraid it's all from America. There's a couple of series recently that's just started here called... one is Damages, which has got to be the most curiously fascinating drama I think I've ever seen. I've watched about 6 episodes of it now. I've got no idea what's happening, but it's gripping. I mean, I literally have got no clue what's going on in this programme. It's just... It's got Glenn Close in it. It's got a stellar cast that's very, very good, and unlike anything I've seen before. Dexter is another one that I sort of passed by in the first... It's a policeman who kills people in his spare time. That's also very good. There's no end of good stuff. Mad Men is apparently a superb programme. But the chap that I was thinking of is Phil Silvers from Bilko. Surely the greatest comic performance in a sitcom ever. It's coming up to 9:30.
LBC 97.3.
A small group of thoughtful people could change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
If you believe that profits are not incompatible with principles, if you believe that property should work in harmony with the local community and environment, if you love Africa, you'll love Meditlo. Meditlo Eco Lodge is a unique development of just 37 luxurious properties in a private wildlife reserve in the Greater Kruger National Park region of South Africa. This venture will assist in job creation for the betterment of the local community and help to support and preserve the wildlife and environment. Prices in this stunning development start from £20,000, so register your interest now. Call the Meditlo brochure hotline today on 020 8387 5494. Meditlo from Foreign Property Ventures. Not estate agents, not timeshare. Just exceptional property investment. See foreignpropertyventures.com or call 020 8387 5494.
This is LBC 97.3. It's 9:30.
From the LBC News Centre, I'm Mark McQuillan. There have been fireworks and celebrations in Dewsbury after 9-year-old Shannon Matthews was found alive. She'd been missing for 3 weeks. The schoolgirl was discovered hidden in the base of a bed in a flat around a mile from her family home. 2 teenage boys are still in police custody tonight on suspicion of attempting to murder a group of armed Met Police officers in South London. It's claimed they ploughed their car into the officers in Battersea early this morning. A top London restaurant has been fined £5,000 for breaching food safety regulations. Inspectors found the kitchen and food stalls of In the Park in St James's Park overrun with mice. And primary school children aren't being taught how to read properly. That from the Children's Secretary Ed Balls, who says teachers should be using a method called phonics. It involves pupils learning the sounds of letters first before blending the whole word together. London's weather overnight, misty and cloudy with some drizzly rain around, lows of 8 degrees Celsius. A look ahead to tomorrow, a cloudy start with drizzly rain during the morning, and that will become heavier by the afternoon and persist during the evening, and there'll be a maximum temperature of 12 degrees Celsius. You're with LBC, it's 9:31.
Right now, this man is being watched by a benefit fraud investigator. An investigator who has been working undercover and now has enough information to prove beyond doubt that he is a benefit thief. Soon he'll be whistling a different tune. Fraud investigators are in your area targeting benefit thieves. It's not a case of if we catch you, it's simply a matter of when. No ifs, no buts. Benefit fraud is a crime.
I took the inside track. I took the inside track.
I took the inside track.
Over 65,000 people have attended Inside Track's free introductory workshop since 2002 to see how they could profit from property without going round the houses. Inside Track 0870 1244 613 or insidetrack.co.uk.
For sale. 1 microwave, 1 deep fat fryer, 1 set of knives, cleaver missing, several hundred plastic forks, 1 dishwasher, all as new, 1 careless owner. Food poisoning. Word gets around.
If you're starting a new business and you want help on how best to avoid food poisoning, visit the Food Standards Agency's website, food.gov.uk/startingup.
LBC 97.3. Nick Abbott. 0845 6060 973.
Me love you long time.
Thanks. What was that? Oh, I know. What was I talking about before the news? Yes, things that kids want to be, growing up. And first of all, it was a fireman. Then I wanted to be a bus conductor, and then skiing instructor, because I was living in Scotland, and skiing was the sport that I chose at school after they introduced it. Before which, I used to, as my elected sport, go to the cafe around the corner with the lads and smoke and drink coffee, and put money in the jukebox and play that funky music, White Boy by Wild Cherry, I believe. Yes, I think I'm right. And listen to David Bowie records and, swap tips about which punk singles you should be buying, and used to think we were hard. The owner must have hated us. We used to because once we were out of school, you couldn't go back in, so we had to, until the end, so we had to be in there for hours. And of course we didn't have any money, so we would just buy 1 coffee and sit in there and feed money in the jukebox.
I bet it was after that newsagents and shops started putting up those signs, only 2 kids at a time.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And then they introduced skiing, because before that you had to choose in between cricket or rugby, neither of which I had any interest in at all. Cricket? What kind of a game is that? You stand there and somebody throws something at you. No, it's not a bouncy blow-up ball either. It's like a rock. It's like target practice you are. I hated it. To the point that I didn't ever even pick up a bat. I just took a look at it and I thought, no, thanks, that's not for me. Rugby, the same. That looks like a fight, in shorts. What kind of a silly game is that?
Well, anything where you have to wear that much protective gear isn't a game, in my opinion.
Well, quite. But in rugby, you don't get any protective gear. You just get a pair of silly shorts.
That's true.
Don't you?
Get a gum shield.
Well, not in them days, because we was hard in them days. Or at least the people who played it were. The soft southern types like me would be, around the corner having a fag. And if my parents are listening to this, I wasn't having a fag. Just kidding about that last part. I'm actually really glad that I didn't ever enjoy smoking. Because you tried it as a kid, sitting in the back of the bus. This is back when you could smoke on the top of the bus, but you couldn't spit. At least that's what the sign at the front says. No spitting, it says. But you can smoke. Go ahead and light one up. And so, in order to appear hard, you'd buy a packet of 10 number 6, something like that. Because that's when they came in, I suppose they still do come in 10s. But I bet they don't come in singles now. We used to buy singles. We used to go to the newsagents down the steps at the back of the school, and he had a tray of fags that he had removed from a packet, and that he would sell to school children in their uniform as singles. Can you believe that? Shocking. But no, I never liked it. And so I thought, well, I don't care if I don't look tough, I'm just not going to do this. It's like pouring Drano down my throat. It's horrible. And it could have been, if I'd just taken another one, I could have been hooked, because they say that it's just about the most addictive substance that is generally available to man, and you could include Class A drugs in that. And that you can get hooked on the very first one. Don't do it, kids. It ain't worth it. But you still see them doing it. It's like peer pressure. It's just to fit in and, as I say, make yourself look hard. Well, actually, to grown-ups, it just kind of makes you look a bit daft, really, because there's no way around it. A 14-year-old with a fag in his hand just looks like a total Burke. Where was I? Oh, yeah, what kids want to be. And so then I heard DJs on the radio, principally Kenny Everett. Still, to this day, can you believe it, the only great talent that British radio has ever produced? Isn't that embarrassing? In a world list of great radio talent, if you made a top 10 of the greatest radio talent of all time, I'd put Kenny Everett in, but only because I can't think of anybody else. And if as a country we don't have anyone in there, that would just too embarrassing for words, wouldn't it? I suppose you could put Alan Freeman in there, because he's one of the great stylists, but he wasn't even British, he was Australian. That is embarrassing. And the thing with Kenny Everett was, I was thinking about this the other day, that much as I used to love listening to him, every now and again it'd be like, this is a bit... The great bits were, his genius was in the production studio. When he was actually on the air, ages could go by and it wasn't that funny. But his production bits, they were hilarious and brilliantly done. And to this day, no one has done them better. No one has been a better producer of a popular radio show than Kenny Everett. But the actual bits in between, it's left you a bit like, it's okay. It's better than what's around, but it's not world class. Do you know what I mean? Alan Freeman was world class as a stylist. I can't think of anybody that can put together a show in a unique style that can beat him still to this day. But then you start to run out. Unless you can think of any. I'm lost. I can't think of any at all. Americans, yes. Australians, I can come up with one. But then I'm out. That's not very good, really, is it? We must do better. But if you ask a child today what they want to be, you know what the answer is. That's right. I want to be famous. And they think that that is a career choice, that is something that is actually available to them because they've seen it on TV. That Burke Jade Goody's a millionaire. I'll do it too. As though it's a possibility. You might as well say that buying a lottery ticket is my career choice. It's about as likely. David and Victoria Beckham are the leading icons in a damaging celebrity culture that encourages children to believe that they can become rich and successful without working hard at school, teachers warn today. Pupils who dream of becoming pop stars and footballers are neglecting their studies and emulating the worst excesses of their idols' language, behaviour and raunchy clothing, they claim. Which is true. Kids are wandering out looking like hookers. Because they've seen, these girl bands doing just that. Christina Aguilera dressing in, a small piece of, dental floss. And they think that that would be an appropriate attire for a 13-year-old. It ain't. Kids, it were gone when I were a lad. Kids in my day, we used to dream of being footballers and pop stars and stuff like that as well, but we didn't think that screw studying. That's what we're going to be. It's almost as though reality was, shown to us. And we thought, if we get lucky, then maybe that's what we'll do. But we didn't abandon all other possibilities because that's what we've decided we're going to be. There seems to be an insanity that's creeped into society. Am I right?
You can follow your dream, but you've got to have a trade. That's what I remember.
Exactly right, yes. A survey of more than 300 teachers found that Posh and Becks are the celebrities most widely admired by school children, although more than 20 others were named as role models. These included Paris Hilton.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Paris Hilton.
Nothing wrong with Paris Hilton. She's made a lot of money.
Shut up. Paris Hilton hasn't actually done anything. Paris Hilton is only famous because she comes from a rich family to begin with. If she just acted like that, no one would be paying any attention to her if she wasn't already rich. That's true. Same with that dopey girl that she hangs around with, that's the daughter of that... Yeah, exactly. All of those people, we're only interested in them because they're already rich. And because they're bringing shame on their family, which is kind of amusing to us. That's partly it, isn't it? I mean, the Hilton family, the Hilton hotels, they've spent no end of money over the, however long they've been in business, decades, establishing their name as, something of probity and of good taste and wealth and so on. Along comes Paris Hilton and blows all that out of the water in about 5 minutes, stepping out of a cab with no knickers on. It's true. And that's why we're interested, is because it seems to be... she seems to be flying in the face of what her family actually stands for, and she's already rich. Kids, you will never be Paris Hilton. It's not a job. It's not a job description, really. There's no opportunity for you to be that. It seems insane. We've lost our minds. Sports stars, including Frank Lampard, Lewis Hamilton, Dame Kelly Holmes, and Andy Murray, are also... Well, you see, that works for me. Being a sports star, yes. But what teachers seem to be saying is that people think... the kids are thinking, I'm going to be Frank Lampard, but I don't want to put in any work to be him. They seem to miss the connection between hard work and achievement. It's like they don't perceive that the two are in any way connected. So I'm going to be a famous footballer, putting the feet up and opening a can of Stella. This is just daft. Kids have lost their minds.
Well, they can kind of say they want to be anything they want to be, but they need to have either a skill or a talent to begin with.
Correct. Also, the Sugar Babes. Who are they? Now, you think you're old. Every time the pop band's name comes up, I've got no idea who they are. I've turned it into my dad.
They're a pop group, and they're from, well...
They're just a girly pop group, right?
Yeah,
another sort of identikit girly pop group.
They're not that bad.
Were they formed from an X Factor type contest?
No, they weren't. They were actually formed at school, so they had an element of talent to them.
Oh, really?
But they are pop.
Hum one of their songs. Go ahead and sing it to me now. 3, 2, 1.
Well, I'm not a singer, but...
All right, well, dance. Stand up and dance for me, right? Lily Allen, also among those named as people's favourite stars. Lily Allen. Teachers warn that celebrity adulation is hampering their efforts to convince children that they must try to do well at school. Now, if teachers are saying this, then you'd have to imagine that this has been a problem that's existed for quite some time, which implies that there's an entire generation of children excuse me, who've gone through school thinking that, oh, I'm going to be Jade Goody, so I don't have to pay attention in geography because she don't even know where Essex is. And look at her, she's millionaire, innit? As though that even such a thing would be possible that you could become Jade Goody. I mean, it's like being hit by lightning. If Jade Goody hadn't appeared on that stupid programme, she'd be shoveling chips in a bag. You'd assume.
Or in her mouth.
Yeah, more accurate, yeah. Shoveling chips out of the bag and into her mouth, yeah. Not driving a Ferrari and parking it on the gravel driveway of her Essex mansion. It's not a possibility. Forget it. Who's to blame? I think
Warhol.
Andy Warhol. Yeah, you're right. Andy Warhol's to blame. If he wasn't dead, we'd have to shoot him. It's 9:45. LBC Travel with Steve Reed.
Thank you very much. In Woodford, still...
Oh, we're running late!
Gatwick, hello, Tricia.
Hi.
Tricia.
I think you're being a bit naughty.
Oh?
Because I'm very proud of being a Londoner, and we're both sitting in the car listening to you, and my man's done 7 years to be an accountant, and I've done 3 years to be a nurse, and we're both Cockneys. So it doesn't mean because Jane Goody is a Cockney that the rest of us are thick. And you're implying by speaking like that the rest of us don't want to attain or be somebody.
What earth are you talking? Which show are you listening to, Tricia?
LBC. You were just taking the mickey out of Jane's accent.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of us that speak like that, but
well, you don't.
We haven't got. I do. I'm a Londoner.
You do not speak like Jade Goody.
I do.
Tricia, you flat out don't.
Oh, promise you, I do.
Well, is this you speaking now?
Yes, it is. Even if you think that's okay, there's a lot of Londoners that have an accent that's a London accent that we're proud of, but it doesn't mean that we're dumb.
I never said it did.
All right. Well, you were taking the mickey out of her accent rather than what she represents.
I think I was taking the mickey out of both.
Yeah, we quite like our London accent. It's quite nice.
You don't like listening to Jade Goody, surely? You...
No, but I quite like the London accent.
Yeah, you don't seem to have one.
Well, I promise you, I do. It might sound just slightly distorted on the radio.
No, it sounds a bit posh. Sounds a bit...
I'm not posh, honestly.
Okay.
I'm a posh nurse.
What kind of car are you sitting in, Tricia?
What car? A BMW.
And she's not posh. Can you believe that?
Yeah, but you didn't ask me what age.
Well, that's irrelevant, Tricia.
All right, then. Bye.
Thanks very much. I've been told off. I don't know what I've done. What have I done? What have I done? I wasn't saying that... For a start, for a lady with a cut glass accent like that to call up and say, us Cockneys, I mean... I'm sitting here in my BMW, furious.
Us Cockneys?
Yeah. All of my friends in Belgravia simply cross with you. No, I think you got the wrong end of the stick there, dear. So this is about what kids want to be when they grow up. Delegates, this is a teachers' conference that's going on. The Association of Teachers and Lecturers, the gathering in Torquay. What a scorcher. Delegates will... And Torquay, I don't know, I came back from a holiday and I thought, yeah, if the hotels weren't so blooming expensive here, I'd actually quite fancy a holiday here. Summertime, go down to Cornwall. I mean, the amount of press that Cornwall and Devon and so on has been getting lately, doesn't it sound rather attractive? You know, even royal people go there. The weather's not that bad now. It's not reliable, mind, but it's not that bad. Getting warmer all the time. Every day in every way, it's getting better and better. They've got beaches, and you don't have to fly to get there. There's none of that getting patted down as you go through security. You can take more than 100 millilitres of water to Cornwall. You believe it? I'm so irritated. That's so annoying, because I'll always show up with a bottle of water every time I do it, and you got to throw it away. Why don't they just get you to drink it? If it's an explosive liquid, then you won't be able to drink it, right? Or you won't be able to drink it with a straight face.
Well, they did make mothers test the milk that they had for babies, didn't they?
Right. Well, that makes sense.
But the other annoying thing is that you know you're not going to be able to get any water on the plane for ages, or a drink, because they don't come round serving drinks. No. When you're stuck on a tarmac...
Unless you're up the front, in which case they're giving you a hot towel and a glass of champagne before your bottoms even touch the seat.
Exactly, and they give you proper plates and a menu.
That's right.
You can buy water the other side of security, though.
Yeah, you can. There's the voice of reason.
There you go.
So that shut us up, hasn't it? Now we've got nothing to moan about.
Well, it's like a service station, isn't it? They put the price up by 10,000% on a bottle of water or chocolate or something.
I don't think that's true at all. But what they do with chocolate is they serve it in the world's biggest portions. Toblerone, for instance, without mentioning any brand names. Toblerone, you say, comes in the biggest box you've ever seen in your life. It's like the pyramids of Giza. It's so huge. It's massive. I mean, and that's one product which, Whenever I eat it, I think, oh, you know what, I quite like this, but I'd never buy it. It doesn't even cross my mind to buy it in the ordinary course of everyday life. But there it is. I mean, you can't avoid it. You virtually have to drive your trolley around it because it presents such an obstacle. They're massive.
But they're very tasty.
Why are they so big in airports and not anywhere else?
I suppose because they're expecting you to buy some for someone else as a gift, rather than just sit and munch it yourself.
But the weird thing is, you'd think it was only in London or only in one place in the world if you're going to do something on a scale like that. But any airport almost I've ever been to, you will see the big Toblerone.
Yeah.
Germany, the US.
It's bizarre. I mean, it virtually exceeds your baggage allowance. It's so big.
I had a really good idea for a chocolate once, based around the Toblerone. Instead of having a Toblerone, you could have circular discs of the chocolate and call it an Oblerone.
I wonder why nobody ever thought of that.
I wanted a bit more of a silence there. Never mind, you jumped in and you ruined it for me.
I shall say not another word.
I was going to...
You were going to deride scorn on me, weren't you?
Well, the silence would have humiliated you.
I thought it was a good idea.
An Oblerone. Well, you're not completely out of your mind. Anyway, back to this. This is a teachers' conference at the moment. They're very upset. Delegates will debate the motion condemning the cult of celebrity for perverting children's aspirations and expectations. Members who responded to the survey warn that a growing celebrity culture is contributing to underage drinking and antisocial behaviour because some teen idols are foul-mouthed and yobbish. They also say provocative behaviour by scantily clad celebrities is increasingly robbing young girls of their innocence. One teacher from a primary school in Salford said, "I've seen celebrity football or pop star language and behaviour in the playground and in school, including disturbingly age-inappropriate acts by young girls in school talent shows." You can only imagine what that means. A teacher from a junior school in Bath reported that the sole ambition of one of his pupils was to be a footballer's wife. It'll never happen. It's like I say, you might as well buy a lottery ticket and say that that's your career choice. Elizabeth Farrar from primary school near Scunthorpe said too many of the pupils believe that academic success is unnecessary because they will be able to access fame and fortune quite easily through a reality TV show. It's the scourge of our times. We are deeply concerned, they say, that many pupils believe that celebrity status is available to everyone. They don't understand the hard work it takes to achieve such status and don't think it's important to be actively engaged in school work, as education is not needed for celebrity status. That's the mindset, is like, is they don't need it, they don't know nothing, so what do I need to pay attention for? Because I'm going to be famous. Celebrity culture can perpetuate the notion that celebrity status is the greatest achievement and reinforces the belief that other career options are not available, or even, I would say, desirable. They're just not interested because they've decided they're going to be rich. It's staggering, really. We're in deep trouble. And go on.
I was just going to say, the guy who went in, you know, the latest Big Brother they had, the Celebrity Hijack.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it either. I don't think many people did. But the guy who came out was somehow surprised that no one knew who he was.
I bet it was stunned, yeah. And the fault is not with the children. The fault is with the actual thing that I read this in. The newspapers. Because it's the only thing they're interested in. It's their fault. I just thought I might throw that in at the end. Give them a bit of a kicking just before I pop off for the weekend. Hey, Raj, what have we talked about today then, eh?
Well, we started with Michael Caine, because apparently you think he's overrated.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know that.
Then we talked about Sleuth being a good film.
Yes.
Other overrated actors. The Italian Job, publicity machines, movie trailers, remakes, London airports, Prevailing Winds.
Prevailing Winds.
Which was the basis of your theory.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all planes.
Right.
Apparently the revolution is not coming.
No, forget it, mate. It's not going to happen.
Star Wars, and me never having seen it.
Oh, seriously, you have to go out this weekend and feel the force. Feel this. Here comes Jim Davis on LBC.
Chicken marinated in yogurt.